Oh, good morning, everybody. Uh,
You're muted, Lawrence. I muted you by accident. Sorry.
okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, sorry about that.
Okay, no, not at all. Good morning, everybody. It's January 22, January 14th, 22. And we're very excited because it's just another week from the next fly-in in Utah, which please everybody should remember and try and make a concerted effort to get there. The slaughterhouse of failure is not in our destiny. We will persevere until we succeed. Augmentino modified a little bit. And today we're gonna talk about another system, and the system that we're actually calling it's mapping the medical sales cycle. So, Dan, do you want to begin with that one?
Yeah, so I mean, the same sales cycle holds true for just about any sale that you're going to do. But I found this great graphic called Mapping the Medical Sales Cycle and wanted to share that with you guys. So I'm going to drop that into the chat here so you guys can all take a look at that. But really what it's about is making sure that you are documenting the customer journey. And I think Monzi and Kent talk about this on their Wednesday call on occasion, but you really want to identify and map the touch points throughout the buying process to make sure that you know where you're at in the sales process and the buying process. And also so that you can look back on that sales process and see what worked, what didn't work, and things along those lines as well. So let me mute a couple people here, sorry. Oops. So know where you are in that sales cycle, right? And a part of that is identifying what those touch points need to be, and then mapping it out so that you can follow. You have a process to follow to that final end goal of the sale, or in the case of the person you're selling to, them buying and showing those buying signals. And then secondary, you want to identify and prioritize. So you want to ultimately identify who your target customer is. In our case, it's physicians, healthcare providers that have an interest in preventive medicine, helping their patients or their customers become more nutritionally healthy, or a combination of both of those, and wanting to drive revenue to their practice, a combination of all of those. And then you have to qualify those potential buyers by asking them probing questions as to whether or not this is going to actually fit into their practice, all right, or into their business, if it's a med spa or whatever it may be. So you need to ask those probing questions. Do they believe in nutrition? Do they believe in supplementation? Do they want to help their patients? Do they believe in preventive medicine? Do they have an opportunity to provide this to their patients? Is it something that's going to work in their particular practice? In the format that they have. How their patient flow works, and things along those lines. So, a big part of this process, the sales cycle, is really identifying proper targets. And when I have somebody join my team, that's what I talk to them about. They get all excited and they say, "Oh, I can't wait. I'm going to go out and start talking to some doctors, friends of mine." And, and I say, "Hold on, hit the brakes. Let's have a conversation about this. First of all, you don't know what to say. Second of all, you don't know whether or not they are a proper target," right? Because what I've had happen in the past is I've had people get all excited about it and they go out and talk to a physician that they're friendly with that's not even a target, right? And of course, what's that person going to say? They're going to say, "No, this is, I don't believe in nutrition," or "This, I don't know anything about this device. Is this really, scientific?" Or, they're not. And they'll say, "I talked to 3 or 4 of my doctor friends and, they're just not interested." And I'm like, "Well, this is exactly what I told you. First of all, you don't know exactly what to say, how to introduce it properly, but you also didn't target properly," right? And so I have that conversation really early on when somebody's really excited and they want to join, and they may not necessarily want to invest in the scanner right away, or register right away. They may want to talk to get some feedback from some people, and I part of that process to getting them A, to join us, and B, to be successful, is targeting properly, right? And so, defining who those targets should be, and then everybody has those targets within their network if you've been in sales for a long time, or even if you haven't. But you need to target and you need to prioritize and identify those targets, and then prioritize them based on who's a good fit for this A, who's a good fit for this B, C, D. Prioritize them. When I was in medical device sales, we always had a plan A. Like if it was a big revision case, we had a plan A, which is what we thought was going to happen during the surgery and having the implants available for that. We had a plan B, which was having the instruments and the implants available if things didn't go as we thought they were going to. A plan C, a plan B, D, and so on. So, it's the same thing in a sales cycle. You need to target those people and prioritize them by what their interest level may be.
So one of the big things about this whole thing that is again, observing, asking questions, and focusing on what is needed, not what we want. So the whole point is identify and prioritize. Is identify a problem. If we were living in that situation, ask questions. How can we, first of all, observe it, and then how can we make it more efficient?
Absolutely. It always goes back to, listening and observing, right? And the more you do that, the more success I think you're going to have, rather than just telling them what we want. If we went out and tried to sell this as something that we wanted people to know and to have, we'd try and sell it to everybody, right? And 99% of the time, you're not going to be successful, because only 1% of those targets are somebody that really interested in what we're doing and implementing it into their practice. And so if you want to really increase your hit rate or your success rate, targeting and prioritizing is a huge part of that, right? And you do have to take somewhat of a shotgun approach to this, but you also need to take a sniper approach, right? And part of that is this prioritization and identifying and targeting the proper people in the process. So moving on from there, the next thing that you want to do is once you target and you prioritize who you want to be talking to, and once they have an interest level, you need to really dig down deep into that practice and figure out who those decision makers and those influencers are. If it's a multidisciplinary practice, there might be 2, 3, 4 physicians. One of them might be the influencer or the decision maker. So you really need to get to that person. If you don't get to that person, you're never gonna get the sale, right? You need to get to that influencer who is the decision maker for the practice. And once you get to them, they're going to influence everybody else, right? Because they're the person that they look towards to make these decisions, and who's going to be the ultimate buyer in this process. And so what they do is they end up becoming your product champion, and then championing it to their other physicians or their staff members, their practice manager, their MAs, their PAs, things like that, right? And then that's going to influence this whole entire buying process. So it's really not a difficult process, as Lawrence, wisely pointed out. It's more about observing and listening to what their needs are, and listening to the influencer or listening to the group as a whole, and asking probing questions to find out who those influencers are, who are ultimately going to be the ones that are going to tell you where this buying process is going to go and how to make it happen, right? And then the next part of the process is discovery.
Before we go to that, it very often happens that we go somewhere, we go to the front office, as it were, and we ask for the office manager. Many times the office managers are the influencers that actually persuade everybody to do what they're supposed to do, because that's why a doctor gets an office manager. And it's our job to be able to influence the influencer. And so many times when we go into, at least when I go into a place, to a clinic or a practice, I don't even care about the doctor. I'm more interested in the influencer. That's my focus. My focus is on being able to find the influencer and get the influencer to really understand what we have. And many times I've scanned the influencer, she'll say, I'm busy, I don't have time. Give me your hand, give me your hand. Look, it takes 30 seconds. Come, look, give me your hand. And they'll scan, they'll see that, and then I'll say, do you have anybody that's that's a smoker, or anybody that's really healthy? And they'll say, yeah, Jane, come over here. And we'll scan somebody else. And by that time, the influencer has had a chance to see for herself or himself what this is about. And then they will say, Doc, come and have a look at this. And they'll bring the supposed decision maker, although the decision maker is in some ways the influencer, but the ego of the thing is the doctor. And many times it is the doctor, obviously, who's going to make the decision. But it's our job to be able to show the influencer what we've got. And it is the influencer that will then help us make the sale.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's exactly the point, right? And what you need to do is listen and observe. It goes back to listening, observing again. So, the next part of that process is discovery, utilizing that influencer, the decision maker, to really uncover what their needs are, right? And then we focus on what their needs are to help them in this decision-making buying process, right? And utilize that to align them and educate them on the opportunity, not only from the product standpoint, but from the revenue standpoint as well, and how we can really help patients and their practice.
Sometimes the discovery part is we actually can be instrumental in discovery. And for example, we might be looking at the lobby and see that the lobby's got some, improvements that could be made to it, or they've got no TV in the front office, or they have some magazines that are just that are irrelevant to what the business is. So part of the discovery part is to discover from an observer's point of view what they have that we notice that we might be able to just mention in a nice way and say, well, by the way, if you had a TV up here, and we could actually show some documentaries about things that would help. And by the way, instead of showing the TV that you've got at the moment on the shows you've got as, Dr. Jen, the judge or whatever, that's totally non-revenue producing, non-income producing device or program. We've got something that could actually help with that. And then if you look at the whole, the whole visiting room, or not visiting, the waiting room, and you see that the chairs are not so good, or there's a leak in the ceiling or something, then that they may need some help financially. And that's
exactly. And then the next two parts of this process are raising awareness and then nurturing these decision makers. And so in the raising awareness phase, you're using prescriptive selling to offer a specific solution, and then supporting that with a specific rationale. So in this case, we've got the biophotonic scanner. We're able to measure antioxidants. It is very instrumental in helping to prevent chronic disease. The more antioxidants you have, obviously the less inflammation, free radical damage that you're going to have. And so, we're using our studies in this phase to raise awareness. We're using the white paper, we're using the Yale study, the Harvard study, and other studies that we have, validating the technology to really have them buy into this whole process and how it makes sense for their practice and their patients, right? And then that's providing the rationale. We can help these patients become healthier. What you're doing now is not preventive in nature, and this is a great way to bring this nutrition piece and this preventive medicine piece into your practice and really starting to practice medicine the way it should be practiced, right? So that's the raising awareness, and then nurturing that.
Hold on, sorry, Dad, before we go to the nurturing, the raising awareness is also a point there that we could look at. And for example, when we look at the raising of the awareness by observing, we're observing that the staff is doing some stuff that is repetitious, that is not efficiently executed. We're looking and seeing that there are some things that could be streamlined, some jobs that could be streamlined. We look and we see that they've got X number of staff, and some of them may be either duplicating or not doing it as efficiently as they could because they lack some of the tools which we may be able to offer them. We've got, even on the awareness, it's the awareness of what we can offer them in terms of even their streamlining their staff. We had a little call last night, and the doctor whose clinic it was has a couple of members of staff, but he does everything. So we were able to kind of like explain or show that it doesn't all have to fall on the doctor's shoulders, although some states have laws which impede the staff from doing certain things that are considered whatever medical, I don't know, but generally speaking, we can help by observing how we can help the staff, how we can help the flow, how we can help just be more efficient.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to kind of segue right into that nurture phase of the call of the sales process, because I think it really is part of that raising awareness piece as well. But what you can do is you can look at every part of this sales cycle as a touch point, right? The average person takes them 4 to 6 touch points until they actually make a decision to buy. And so you can utilize each one of these as a touch point, but nurturing is part of that raising awareness, because what we're doing in the nurturing and raising awareness phase is, I think we're basically utilizing the same information to raise awareness and providing a specific solution and a rationale, but we're also utilizing that same information to nurture this process, because we're utilizing that to establish credibility, right? And then personal trust, showing them that what we told them that we we actually have, and justifying that and validating that through the studies that we have, right? And I think presenting that solution is the next piece of it, because what we're doing is we want to, every single sale is going to be a little bit different. We're going to go through these same sales cycles, but everyone's going to be a little bit different depending on specialty, or this specific physician may want different information than the physician before that you spoke to. So you really do need to create somewhat of a customized presentation, depending on who that influencer is, who that physician is, what that specialty is, and really tailor it to that specific call point, right? And I don't think it needs to be dramatically different, but let's say you're calling on an optometrist. You are going to want to use studies, obviously, that validate the science and the technology, and then maybe provide a study or two that validates it for the optometrist or the internal medicine doctor or the dermatologist or whoever it may be. So that's part of that, presenting the solution for that specific physician, if they don't really want to get outside of what they feel is their comfort zone or their wheelhouse with what the services that they're providing for their patients. So you do have to relate it to what they're doing on some level. I think that makes a lot of sense to do, and I think that's going to help further that sale.
And also by the fact that you're offering some tangible input. If you're offering tangible input, it's actually showing that you care. If we can show that we care, that we've taken the time to do some homework, that we're actually focused on what they are, they also feel supported. They feel, oh, well, this guy's taking an interest in what I'm doing. He's not just a medical device or sales rep, a pharmaceutical rep who just comes in to check that I got my samples and tick off that he's visited. This guy's really caring. He's really taking the time. I watched him out there, or they could see that you're actually engaged in helping. And this is also psychologically important because the person feels really supported.
Absolutely. You want to give them what they need, not what we want to give them, right?
Yeah.
So, it's fair to even ask them after every one of these interactions, what do you need? What else would you like me to provide you, right?
Yeah.
And then that makes them feel like they are part of that buying process because they're actually telling you what they want, right? And so the next step is the follow-up. But I really believe that this follow-up piece can follow every one of these previous interactions, because what you want to do is set the course for those next interactions and what those next steps are going to be. I mean, this is pretty self-explanatory. You just want to set up a meeting or a contact point through an email with some additional information. Some way in form or fashion that you're going to stay in touch with this person and move forward to those next steps, right? And we have an excellent strategy for integrating this into a physician practice. We saw that last night. Lawrence had a call, as he mentioned, and a lot of us were on that call just listening and learning. And so you really need to make these customers feel that we have a strategy in place that we're going to make this very successful in their practice. And we don't just sell them the healthcare professional kit, get them the scanner, and walk away, right? This is a partnership, and we need to make them feel like we are as invested in this as they are, right? And part of that is continuing that post-close interaction, and letting them know that you're going to be there, that you're going to help train their staff and them, that we have the healthcare forum available if they want to come there, and that we're ultimately going to be setting them up for success. There's only so much that we can do when we're helping to integrate this. We can give them the GPS coordinates, and it's up to them to follow those steps, right? So we just need to make sure that there's a smooth transition from the sale to the integration, implementation into the practice, and that we have as much buy-in from staff and the physician as possible, the influencers. This is where it comes back to those influencers. These influencers, they've influenced this whole process. So they need to be an integral part of this whole implementation piece too, because they champion this. So they need to take ownership of this as if it was their idea, right, to integrate this into the practice. And ultimately, if it fails, or it's not as successful as they wanted it to be, it's going to fall somewhat on the shoulders of that influencer or the decision maker, right? Because they're the ones that influence this whole purchase and buying process. So, we can utilize that person throughout the rest of that entire process, especially the integration, because that's the most important part of this whole puzzle.
I think one of the key things you just said, Dan, is I like that. First of all, it's a partnership, but then post-close interaction. This is huge. This is one of my Achilles heel. We get so enthusiastic about having placed a scanner, and we get all excited and so on. Yay, we placed a scanner. Yay, he's scanning a little bit. But then, we should really follow up regularly. Like when I say regularly, I don't say every day, but at least every month or every couple of weeks, to see how's it going. How is everybody still on board? Have you got new staff? What has changed? What's going on that you're improving on? What can we help you improve with? There's so many things that are necessary for us to make sure that that the foundation is laid correctly, first of all, and then that we've got to build on that foundation and make sure that the building is strong.
Yeah, Stephen made a good point in the comments that we need to build this relationship and this vision with these docs and their staff, right? Because their staff is going to be integral to making this happen. And so we need to, part of that is taking the time to learn about what we're doing, so that we can build that confidence and that trust, as I mentioned previously. But we're not only there to train them, we're there to coach them just as much. So, this what I like about what we're doing is that, you know, there's many facets to it, right? We're selling, we're training, we're coaching, it's personal development, you know, and so we need to create those follow-ups, you know, not only during the integration meeting or integration process, but follow-ups in the next, you know, over the next course of the month, just to make sure that everything's going smoothly, and coaching them on how to alter what they're doing if it's not going smoothly, right?
So I see we're on time here. And we started a bit late, but Dan, if it's okay, I'd like to show everybody something that I think is exactly what our business is all about. Thanks, Steve, for those comments in there. Build belief and passion. Thank you for all of that. That's perfect. But I want to show you everybody what our business is, exactly what it's about. So here I've got 2 avocado seeds, and I've put them in water. I put them in at the same time, exactly the same time, same day. So this one has been going on, and it's presented absolutely nothing on the top, but it has a root system that has started. And this one has been in there for, I don't know, maybe a month now. And this one, which was a month as well, this one has got a very prolific root system. I got to use 2 of them. Well, I'll have to do it this way. Look at the root system of this one, the root system of that. But this one's actually got something sprouted at the top. So I'm trying to say that, first of all, we can't, this one, even though it looked like it was dead, it was doing nothing, it has no sprout, but it's been working underneath, it's been doing something. And finally, it's going to happen. I don't know when, but it's going to happen. And this one was a leader, man. He decided he was going to show something really quick. So the root system on this guy is going like gangbusters. You can see that. And off he goes. We're off to the races. Now, they were planted the same day. So I'm just trying to say, even in nature, apart from our own nature, but even in nature, we're not all equal in terms of results. So stick with it, because it'll happen. This one shows nothing. You say, oh my God, I'm going to throw it away. No, it's working. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say. Be patient. It works. The system works. So if anybody's got any comments or anything else to add, please do so.
At first, I'd like to say that I never would have guessed that you had a green thumb. Any other questions and comments?
Nothing. Okay. Well, thanks for your time, guys. You're probably all freezing to death wherever you are up there. So thanks for your time. And
we still have a week left to get people to the forum. So, you know, keep trying to generate some interest and pushing those folks that you're talking to get to the forum next week. And we'll see everybody there.
Absolutely not too late. We've still got another whole week today, a week yesterday to get them there. So work on it. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Have a great day.
Have a good day, everybody.